Hello, my name is Caleb Molnar, and I am doing the camera video describing the camera I'm using and also the needed, I guess you could call like settings that a camera has that mine will also portrays. So I'm using a phone camera. It is the Galaxy S24 FE, which has a good main wide lens and then ultra wide and telephoto lens and then like the front selfie lens, which you can switch through in the settings. And then also provided has a pro mode setting, which is almost, it has a manual and then a pro mode, where then you start getting into the shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, which I can select even though it's not a what you call like a digital camera or a main camera. It still lets me use these settings, which is one of the first things I look to for this class. And then describing for like what shutter speed is, the amount of time the camera sensor is exposed to light. So pretty much what it does is like a fast shutter speed has like fast moving action like sports or wildlife, like a frog jumping or like a bird flying through the sky. You see it going slow-mo for like videos. And then for like a picture, it's a almost like a high quality picture of like that's able to capture movement. And then the lower the shutter speed, the more you might see like motion blur and such. And then the aperture is the physical opening inside a lens that controls how much light passes through to the sensor, as well as the depth of field, so like the blurriness in background. The physical opening is not really prevalent in a phone. So instead, that like traditional mirrorless cameras, you can change this value freely, but it's a fixed physical aperture for the main camera, and then using like different modes obviously lets you change that to mimic the shallow blurry background effect of slower f-stops. And then ISO is the camera's sensor's sensitivity to light. Low ISO is ideal for bright daylight. It produces the cleanest, sharpest images. So it like almost like doesn't use any artificial light in it. It just keeps it in the main center view. So you don't need to, I guess it's like allowing you to through light. So like for a phone, it just changes. It's almost like a brightness change to the photo. A lot of those will auto do that, but in manual mode, you can select that and change that to like a lower, which is like 50, to a higher, like 1600. I'm pretty sure that's the max on the Samsung S24 FE. And for the higher the value, it artificially brightens dark environments. But like introducing the ISO adds visual noise or graininess to your photo. So realistically, you want to have it on the lowest ISO setting possible to refrain from losing image quality. And then the white balance adjusts the color temperature of your image so that objects are white in person, look white in your photo, rather than too cold being blue or or warm being orange. And then so pretty much changes like if I wanted to take pictures outside in a bright daylight setting, it might have like a lot of the camera lens in receiving into like that orangeness and all that. So I'd higher the sensitivity. Lower the sensitivity to light so it's not as effective, so I can get a good quality image in the right coloring. And then for a lower, if I wanted a higher sensitivity, it would be almost in a dark space, or like let's say at nighttime where there's not a lot of light out to provide the camera with enough quality to get a good value picture. And really how to use it, you can manually match your lighting set conditions to keep the colors looking perfectly natural. And it provides like a really good setup for like coloring that you can't really get without the white balance. And like overall, the Galaxy S24 has the triple lens rear camera system. The primary camera will want you to use for higher quality manual control is a main wide lens, as it has the largest sensor and brightest aperture. Realistically, with this class, I'm looking to try to like kind of change the lens a good amount and like test what I can do in these photos, because I did the same thing with a video class, and it was gave me a good amount of view into like what's possible with just a normal phone camera. And I've made like a 3-minute movie and such where I use different camera settings and all that, and it's really good for like a simple but like really steadily working camera. And it is newer, so it has a better quality and more registration, so that even if I get a picture bad, I can edit the photo just with the basic settings that it gives me on the phone without downloading any other apps or like thing to clear like blurriness or something like that. That's automatically with it, which is a big help. And overall, that's my camera rundown for the Samsung Galaxy S24 FE. I'm sorry I couldn't show it, but I'm recording with it, so hopefully that helps. I didn't have a second phone to get to it, but this does look like a very good setup, and I'm happy to do more.